have 3 of us to have a quorum. And that means that 3 of us, if one of us votes in opposition to the other, then it will not pass, whatever is being worked on. It would have to be unanimous with us. Number 2, Pete Sargent has resigned from the board. Roger's not here tonight. Craig, if he shows up, great, but I'm not sure where he might be. So it is the 3 of us for tonight. I'd like to recommend that in fairness to the applicants that are here, we take care of that business first, and I recommend doing minutes after, if that's okay with the board. Thank you. Okay, so and the other third thing is Gary is getting ready for a moose hunt, so he's going to be in now. So he's not going to be with us tonight for this, and the CEO will not be here. He has a new vehicle, and he's going to go somewhere else. So we are at your mercy. Here we go. So according to our agenda, Boyd, we have you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's deal with yours first, if you can.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. So we had gone through the application before to look for completeness, correct? We had identified several items, and there was one item in particular about numbers, calculations that we wanted to make sure was. We brought that up before, and it seemed very achievable. So, will you walk us through where we are for
absolutely. I had 2 different things that we had talked about that night. The first were the tree locations on the front of the parcel. So those were actually located. There's a small shrub here. There's not a row of trees or anything in this location. There's one small tree here, an existing tree here, another here, another here, another there. So they're fairly sporadic throughout that front area. So those are all located accurately on the plan. The other thing I'd like to do, if it's okay, is I've drafted a letter that explains the pre and post, what we found after going back and looking at those numbers. So if you folks would like, I can pass these out.
Sure, let's do so. We have copies for everybody?
Yep.
With respect to the trees, that's in the schools in Village District, according to our comprehensive plan. So the standard for vegetative screening is only to have trees like every 50 feet or something. So okay. I was mostly concerned that they not be cut.
Right. Yeah, and we'll be grading around those. So I guess I don't know if anybody's here. Probably nobody's here from the public, unless you are for the public meeting. But
no, I'm in new business.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to, anybody have any other questions on the site plan or anything, or we can just get right into this, or from last meeting?
I don't have any questions. Do anybody else want to?
No. I'll probably have some questions as we go.
Sure, okay. So went back and looked over the numbers in the pre and post, and what I found was, as you read through the letter, there were 2 numbers that were transposed in the pre-development, pre-1 subcatchment. The lawn area and impervious areas were reversed. So when we actually corrected those, what that ended up doing was bringing us under the 2-year, 10-year, and 25-year storms for the pre and post.
Oh, so rather than
so that,
it's pretty obvious when I went back and looked at
that pretty much takes care of the difference.
Well, and it made sense because it was hard trying to figure out. I knew there wasn't a lot of impervious we were adding to it, so I went back and found that. So that's really the only substantial change. I did include all the backup information from the stormwater model, so you'll have it in your records as far as what was changed. That's all attached with the letter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Appreciate you doing that in writing too, because it's hard to capture it otherwise.
Sure.
Records.
And Nick, do you have that application?
I have the original. Yes, you want that?
No, at this minute, I just want to make sure you have it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and the checklist, right?
Because, the checklist is there.
Is with this one? Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to take the checklist with me because we're
I appreciate that, yes.
But we should probably get, because I think on the checklist we had started a few things, we should try to make sure we get you like to get it from me now?
Yep, definitely. Unless it's one of the other ones, 'cause this one was marked originally. Let's see.
Why are you looking there?
I'm having to check what that's completed.
I have mine starred if you want to use this.
Yeah, we may resort to that.
Because it was in, you had attached it, I believe, to the original application.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
Okay, yes, this is the one. Yeah. So, Nick, I apologize. So
Okay.
I wrote on my copy, not the original,
Okay.
but we'll use a real one to go through to indicate. I was able to just make notes in this one as we went through.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I'll get that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is just one copy. Let's see. On page 32 of 38, the first one, I don't know if you guys have that. We had a start on the written waiver request, which, as we discussed, Boyd, I think when we went through the application, we felt that was complete because what we had indicated in the application was that the requests were made.
Right.
Then going to page 33 of 38, let's see, I had a star on the item for 124 by 36 site development drawing.
And that was for the trees, the front trees.
Okay, so do we now have that? Is
That
that
should be complete now.
okay?
Yeah.
So
Those, we just really had those two outstanding issues. Plus, we won't know, because you won't know who the DEP certified contractor will be until this RSU is going out to bid.
Right.
So that'll have to be handled later as a condition.
right. So was that it? I had, yeah, that's the last
Well,
one was
only-
the DEP certified one.
Yeah. I mean, that's my recollection, but don't go by that.
I think related to the tree thing is information to meet screening of structures, parking lots, and other non-residential uses. Article 6, Section 11, which is that other one.
Yeah, that should be
It's
okay.
related. So we should probably go through, not copy, but just make sure I check off all those things on a part that's part of the app.
Well, if you want, you can just give me that. And if you want, make it easier. I can attach it right
I'd be
to
happy to.
Okay. When
So-
you're done with it, anyways.
Yep, and can say, I'm just gonna put, like where we had stars, I'm gonna say, put a check in the area and then put today's, date.
Yep.
And then, so for the DEP certified contractor name and number, since that's not complete yet because they haven't gone out to bid, what would be the best way to document that fact is, we've already talked about, we know.
Just write a note to be addressed as condition or something like that, even though it doesn't really fit the form.
Okay. That was it. Okay. So I don't know if I can probably just give this to you, Nick, right now, which is this copy, actually.
do we typically vote on completeness?
Yes. Yeah, we do. So, having gone through the application once before, we've indicated areas of concern that Boyd seems to have addressed for tonight. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we find the application complete with the exception of DEP certified contractor name and number.
Okay. So any more discussion on that? Boyd, you know what we'll need once you go to RFP?
Yep.
So all those in favor of finding this complete? Great. All approved, none against. So at this point, if we've made a determination as complete, we can do findings of fact. And
Now, did we vote last time on the waivers? I know we agreed, at least in principle, I think, but
because they had been
with the exception of
itemized.
the stormwater, which at that point is still up for debate, but
Well,
do we need to?
I guess it
I
would.
guess I don't remember, that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't think that we voted on them before. We had
We just
discussed
agreed
them and agreed.
Consensus that.
Yeah, if you would feel comfortable.
No, as long as, I think it should be documented in the minutes.
Yep. I believe they are. Yep.
They will take it.
So now that we've determined that the application is complete, now it's gonna be a matter of going through the findings of fact. So in the matter of, what this project name is called?
Belgrade Elementary School site renovation.
Oh, Peter, before we do that, I have a couple of sort of miscellaneous questions. They're not about completeness or anything like that, but things I thought of. Well, one actually, only one question really. On the application, the start date for construction was later this fall. Is that still realistic?
No,
Okay.
it won't be started until June, end of June after school next.
Okay,
in
because that was
2019.
gonna be my next question. What was the contingency plan for parking for, when the parking lot's disrupted during school year?
They were hoping to get it done this year, but just everybody is so busy, we only had, I think, one bidder on the job, so they went through all the bids and we'll bid it again in January 1st, start in June.
Actually, I do have a second question. Who's gonna be like the clerk of the works, if you will, or you are?
That
Okay,
will be.
all right. I asked because I've seen it happen too often where we approve something and through either poor communication or lack of communication, whoever's overseeing the project doesn't know what was approved or what wasn't approved.
Right.
Something else happens in the field.
Sure. Yeah, my contract with RSU 18 includes part-time inspection.
Okay.
They'll need to be out there full-time.
That's excellent. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So going through the findings of fact document, started to at least fill some things out that we could that are just sort of there was a waiver request submitted. In my mind, the answer is yes,
Yeah,
because they were
definitely.
itemized and they're fully part of the application up front. Date the application as accepted as complete with these dates, date, we just voted on that. Was a site visit conducted? There was no official site visit conducted, I would say no, we would drive by it, any of us, but. Board meeting dates, we had a board meeting to review this on the last time, which was September
What's that?
20th.
20th? Thank you. And date the board may render the final decision. I'm hoping that will be today, but I'll leave that for a second. Has the application fee been paid in full to the town? page 3. I think the first thing we can really get into is this. The board finds that the project will not or will cause unreasonable soil erosion or reduction in the land's capacity to hold water.
Will not.
It goes on to say, based on application submittals to the project design plan dated. So we have a design plan that's dated,
Yes.
and what is that date? If you don't know?
July 24th, 2018.
Is the soil erosion control plan also dated the same?
Yes.
Thanks, board. The board finds that the project will not or will have an adverse impact on freshwater wetlands.
Will not.
The board finds that the project will not or will have adverse impact on a lake, pond, or stream.
Will not. We will leave it, we should probably make it clear that if somebody says will not, and you disagree with it, make your voice heard,
Okay,
so that we know that we're all agreeing on
Yes.
the,
good point,
will
especially,
not or will.
especially important today. Okay, great. The board finds that the project will not or will provide for adequate stormwater management.
Will.
Will. Based on application submittals. The board finds that the project will not or will provide adequate sewage disposal.
Not really applicable, I guess.
It's really not, because it has nothing, it said, that aspect has nothing to do with this project.
Either will or just write out unapplicable.
I'm gonna say will, and I want to clarify and say, the application does not impact any sewage disposal. The board finds that the project is not or is located in a floodplain area. Is not, so if it is not, and conforms, does not conform with the floodplain ordinance. So that if it is not, it does not matter. The board finds that the project will not or will result in air pollution,
Will not.
based on site application submittals. The board finds that the project will not or will have sufficient drinking water for current and foreseeable needs of the development,
That's the same answer as the other one.
right?
Doesn't really apply.
Okay, the board finds that the project along or in conjunction with existing activities will not or will adversely impact the quality or quantity of groundwater.
Will not.
The board finds that the proposed activity will dispose of all solid waste in conformance with all local regulations, and that the type of and quantity of waste proposed to be sent to the town transfer facility will not or will exceed its capacity.
Will not.
Not gonna generate any solid waste anyway.
So
The board finds that the project will not or will have significant detrimental effect on adjacent land uses and properties affected by waste, noise, glare, lighting, fumes, smoke, dust, odors, or their effects from the project.
Or not.
The board finds that the project will not or will cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion.
Not.
The board finds that the project, to the maximum extent possible, will not or will have an adverse effect on the scenic or natural beauty of the area, aesthetics, historic and archaeological sites, or any public rights for physical or visual access to shoreline or body of water. Will
Or
not.
not.
The board finds that the project, to the maximum extent possible, will not or will have an adverse effect on significant wildlife habitat.
Will not.
The board finds that the project does not conform or conforms with all other applicable town of Belgrade ordinances, including but not limited to shoreline zoning, minimum lot size, subdivision, multifamily dwelling, etc.
Does.
Yeah, I think it
Conforms.
conforms.
Forgot what the question was.
I don't know, so many examples, although completed, something else. The board finds that the project will not or will unreasonably increase concentrations of phosphorus in a great pond. It will not, based on site application submittals. The board finds that the project will not or will conform to material storage provisions of this ordinance.
Will.
The board finds that the applicant has or does not have sufficient right, title, or interest to undertake the development based on.
Has.
The board finds that the applicant does or does not provide for safe and adequate parking.
Does.
We hope so, after all that.
Yeah.
I would hope so as well.
The board finds that the project will not or will conform to all applicable provisions of this ordinance, including but not limited to standards for specific activities where applicable. Will conform. Site application submittals. This is where we have to make a determination now, followed by, there are some standard conditions of approval, if this is approved, that I would be happy to just quickly go through with you. Okay. So therefore, the town either approves or denies the application. At this point. Are we ready to vote?
Why don't you go through the standard conditions of approval, then I'll make a motion about the specific condition of approval, and then probably we should vote.
Okay. All right, so standard conditions of approval. There are 4 of them. And then we also have room for specific conditions. They are, if construction has not been substantially started within 12 months of board approval, this approval and the subsequent permit from the Belgrade Code Enforcement Officer are null and void. The board approval of this project as described above is limited to that described in the application and depicted in the accompanying plan and other application submissions, except to the extent that the board has expressly indicated in this document that certain depictions may be revised by the applicant without further review and approval by the board. Any changes to the application, site plan, or other supporting application submissions must receive prior approval by the board. Basically, we're saying what it is that is being submitted, that's what we're approving, nothing more. And there's more language here, boy, you can review.
Okay.
But that's it in a nutshell. 3, unless a waiver from a specific ordinance standard has been requested by the applicant in writing and approved by the board, The development or use is required to meet all applicable ordinance standards. 4, this board approval and its associated permit from the code enforcement officer is transferable to subsequent owners of the property. All subsequent owners are required to comply with the conditions of this.
So I would make a motion to approve the application with a project-specific condition. And that condition would be to provide the DEP certified contractor name and number to the code enforcement officer prior to the start of construction.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor with a specific condition of approval.
And I would second it.
Okay. Any more discussion on this? Boyd, you know where we're coming from on this?
I do.
Does anybody else from the audience have a question? You're all set? Sure.
I don't know what we're talking about, but sure.
It's a thing. So, no more questions for them? No more concerns, right? So all those in favor? 3 approved, none against, 3, 4, none against. So, CEO will do his thing. We'll sign this. Please date 10/4/18. Approval.
I can't remember from one application to the next. Boyd will be getting a copy of that as well as the permit.
Yeah, from Gary, CEO, we offer that up. Nick, would you mind, I didn't fill out the mailing address and that. Would you mind making sure that everything's updated? I will. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Boyd, thanks for your time.
Yes.
A very thorough application, really appreciate that.
I'm gonna leave, I'll fold up this plan and leave this with you.
Perfect.
This is the updated one.
Yep, we're gonna do that with Nick. And, let's see, this is, you guys have copies, correct? This is the,
Yeah.
after the
Did you
typo.
get this?
This,
What do you think about today?
Yes, I got it.
All right, so that's part of the,
Right on top.
okay, so that's part of the
Okay.
application.
It is.
yeah, I want to just make sure that you have the revised
Yeah,
numbers.
Addresses the whole,
Yeah,
oh, I gave you the wrong one.
I've got another.
The letter with the corrected figures, this
Yep.
one in kind of green.
2018.
This one, Nick. with the green.
With today's date? Okay.
Right on top.
So we have the revised, the addendum for the revised numbers, right? We have that.
Yep.
We have the site plan.
Yep.
And everything.
Yep.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Thank you, most awesome. Excellent.
I feel like I should cheer now. Yeah.
I know. It's a big deal, it's a lot of time getting that point. Right.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Thanks, boy. Be safe up north.
Yes, I will, thank you.
Okay. All right, I would like to recommend we handle the Beckett Academy, application since.
Oh, Pam, are you Cam?
I am Pam.
Oh, wait, okay, I didn't know that. I thought you said you were a new business and,
It says new business. right?
okay, so what?
She is
let's
new
talk-
Business on the agenda.
Yeah.
That's how,
I thought you said you were
I'm
a new
sorry.
business in
I was
town.
I apologize. I was thinking you were a business
Oh,
that's
no, I
new in
looked on this
town.
thing and it says new business. so
Yes,
I'm-
you are.
I'm new business.
Let's handle yours.
All right, thank you. Although I'm feeling very naked, I don't have handouts, and Gary's not here, and I came to Gary about 5 times with my application so he helped me fill it out.
Sure.
My mom, my best friend, and I own a camp on Salmon Lake, It is in dire need of renovations. It is falling apart. I had the finance guy come out and look at it, and he lowered my taxes because it was so bad, if that helps any. We would like to do some work on it.
Okay.
Some of the things, I mean, we're gonna do some inside renovations, but what we wanna do on the outside, we'd like to change the pitch of the roof. It's got a couple of bedrooms and a bathroom with a real tiny loft that's about 3 feet. So we'd like to change the pitch so that it can be usable space, not a bedroom or anything, but the bedrooms don't have any closets or anything, so if somebody comes, we'd like it as a place to put suitcases and, you know, a storage sort of stuff. So that's the one of the things we'd like to do. The other thing we'd like to do is put a screened-in porch on the front of it. It used to have kind of a tent-like screened-in porch, but that has since died.
Is that what referred to as the patio on the?
The what?
Patio.
Yes, the patio.
So it's
Yeah.
screening that in.
We'd like to, I understand, you know, like I said, I'm feeling very naked without Gary here, that you can't be any closer than 25 feet to the water. The deck or the patio on there is a little bit more than 25, so we would like to take off like that front board, and that would make it 25 feet. So it would be a little bit, not as deep as we would like, but it would be in confirmation.
I'm not sure you need to do that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that
Because
even
we
makes me
don't
happier.
consider screening in a porch as an expansion. It's not adding any new.
Well, but, all right, so again, when I came in, like I said, about 5 times, you can, you know, and he said that I would have a hard time passing it because the part of that patio is closer than 25 feet to
You
it.
can't expand the patio any because that's within, or at least.
Yeah, we didn't want to expand it, we just want to screen it in. I mean, make a nice screen in.
I think you can screen it in to the extent that the patio is there already without having to remove it.
Yeah,
Well, that would be nice because it would make it just a little,
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's a non-conforming structure, but it's an existing structure.
Okay.
It's there.
okay.
No, it might be, if it weren't your application and it was another one where someone wanted to expand towards the water that way.
Yeah, no,
There'd be a number of things that we would have to address with that, but
okay.
that's what we're talking
Or
about.
if you wanted to wall it in, we'd have a problem. No, even that would.
Well, in all fairness, when you say wall it in, if we're gonna screen it in, it'll probably have like a little knee wall around it. Yeah.
I don't think the setback is the issue there, is it?
Well, one of the things is when I started to say the point about if you walled it in, it would be a problem. And then I thought, well, no, it's not an expansion in volume. I mean, well, put it this way, under their existing ordinance, right now, you know,
It is a non-conforming building.
it's a non-conforming building, and it would be, we have it, in the current ordinance, we have a definition of volume. And expansion of a structure is an increase in volume and floor area. So if it were to be walled in,
Totally walled in?
yeah, it would be an expansion in volume.
Right,
But in our proposed changes,
Yeah, this would
volume is not,
Goes away.
it goes away. So if you wanted to fully wall it in, I would suggest that, and that's not what you're saying you're doing.
No, we just would like a screen
If you
in.
did want to do that, I'd suggest that you wait until, is it November we're voting on it? or
November
whatever?
6th.
Otherwise, if you're not planning on walling it in and just screening it, I think you're okay right now.
Okay, cool.
I would think so too.
All right, well, okay, cool.
That maybe, I hope it helps you
It-
understand where we're coming from on this. And so what Rich is talking about with this is that you're more than welcome to take there's a copy of our ordinance that we're going by online.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
You may have
okay.
seen it, yeah.
Yes.
And so when he said expansion, there's a definition of expansion, and that's what Rich is talking
Yeah,
about.
well, I'm kind of hoping that all of this doesn't go with that 30% expansion thing, because,
Okay. We'll talk through it.
okay,
You will have answers.
okay,
That's what our goal is, to make sure you are informed. And, so let's get through it, okay?
okay.
It'll be okay. Okay. All right. So for the patio part, we talked about that part. Is it Pamela or Pam?
Please call me Pam.
Pam? Okay.
If you call me Pamela, I think you're a bill collector or something.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you talked about, in my mind, one of the things we should discuss is the changing of the roof pitch.
Yep.
That's a big thing of what you're proposing here, right?
Yes.
You want to have closets, correct?
I want I want a little bit of storage space that's bigger than a crawl space.
Okay.
The bedrooms don't have any closets, so if we come with a suitcase or something, you know, we just want a nice place to put things,
Okay.
you know.
I'm sorry, but, not to interrupt. It appears on your drawing.
I know, it's a very bad drawing, and that's not what I meant when I drew it. I didn't mean a roof lift, I do mean a roof change in pitch, not in
Yeah.
rate, yes. Bad
Okay.
drawing, don't look at it.
Okay, but the thing I was gonna question, it appears as if that roof level, you're not gonna raise the front part?
No,
It
I'd like
looks
to
it's
just raise,
this back.
yeah, I'd like to, so the front part is, anyway, the back part here is where the bedrooms are. The front part is where the kitchen and the living room is. So we would just like to raise this area, actually to about there, just change the pitch.
So on your drawing.
I know, don't look at the
Wait,
drawing.
no, it's just that we need a drawing, so it seems like this indicates that you're just raising this back part here.
Yes, that's what I'm proposing.
Okay, well, that's how I interpret it,
Okay,
so
well,
I think you're being a
what
little
I-
hard on your
what-
drawing.
Well, no, because I drew the walls coming up, and what I meant to do.
Oh, I see,
is draw
okay,
it this way.
Yeah.
That's why I said, don't look at the drawing.
okay.
Because I don't want I don't want it to go the 30-foot expansion, we just want to change the pitch so that we can put some stuff in there, because we're gonna have to replace the roof anyway.
Could you possibly do that on the original somewhere, just,
Yeah.
not that it,
Because we just need a record of what we're approving,
Okay,
that's what it comes down to.
so, yeah, you can, this is the deck up here,
Yeah.
or patio as it's called on there. So this is the bedrooms back here. Do you want me to just,
I
So,
was thinking on the drawing, so just kind of do what George did.
okay, yeah.
so I think this is what you're trying to,
Yes, that's exactly,
Represent.
that's what I said, don't look at my, it's bad.
It's here somewhere.
I'll tell you what, why don't we rip this off, you can initial it.
Okay,
And how much higher is it from here to here?
I'm hoping about 4 feet, so it's still way gonna be under the 20.
So the current height
Is
now-
1211, and my guess is,
You said another 4 feet,
yeah,
so like 16, 11?
Yeah.
Because we just need to know that for sure, certainly.
Right, so what we're looking for is if you could,
We would raise it 4 feet. Oh, did you write that?
Yeah, I wrote
Oh.
that, I'm sorry. Here's my question, maximum height.
so we would not want to know the height that it's going to be.
Or
Or,
we could.
Could I do
not to
it
exceed
6
20 feet
yeah.
in height.
or even 16 in height,
yeah,
17 in height, because that would be 16.
how do you feel about, Rich's idea is that we could just condition it to say
Absolutely, that would be
not to
best.
exceed 20.
When she's saying 17, it won't be more than
17,
17,
so
so.
Yeah.
keep it more accurate.
Especially if
That,
you.
because that gives you a little bit of leeway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Okay.
So I'm sensing a condition will be brewing.
That's fine.
There's a phones over there.
Oh, you want these back?
Yeah, so.
Is that your pen?
Is that my pen? No, I came with
I
nothing.
think it's
Oh, I'll
next.
take that.
Next.
Yeah.
So I said I'm feeling naked. And I haven't even paid for the application yet.
That'll
Well,
be a condition.
I
We
know.
can straighten that out, because we have a talented professional who's accepting the money.
And I brought money, so.
Well, we won't have to worry about that.
Okay, so if we do that, just to kind of go through the application, it says present structure has a floor area of 982 square feet and a footprint area of 1026, not counting the deck, right? And so what you're proposing is changing none of those.
None of those.
Okay.
So that needs to be added to the application initial, I think.
Yeah, I would think that would be good. So, sorry, Pam, we need something to indicate that on that. So that would be where you would go to Nick's thing. And then
Which
say,
one did you put it?
So we just need documentation that these numbers aren't changing and placing them,
Oh,
you
so
know,
just
so this
90.
is pre and that's post-construction, basically.
So write the same things down here?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then just initial, your initials and today's date. If you would please.
Okay.
I've got a question, Peter.
Absolutely.
The 980 square feet, is that the building itself?
Yes, and that,
Okay, and
I,
then,
it's got a
what I
huge,
can't figure out is why the floor area is smaller than the footprint.
okay, well, if you look at the picture here, it's got a huge overhang everywhere. So there's about a foot.
oh,
Oh,
So
that would account for it.
That same issue came up last meeting, I think.
It's, yeah, it's just, it has a really big overhang all the way around it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep,
Question. And are you folks familiar a little bit with Spalding Point Road?
I'm not, no.
It's a public boat landing road for Salmon Lake.
Oh, yeah, of course I'm,
go around.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
but you're beyond the boat.
I am, if you drive all the way, this camp is almost to the end of it on the left-hand side.
Okay.
It's
Never been
fairly
that far, but,
fairly flat
yeah.
lots there.
Yeah.
Not really. Just to,
I've never been past the boat landing.
it's been a while now that I think about it.
Except on the water.
Yeah,
Except on the water.
Yeah.
Did you shoot that buck?
Which one?
Looks like
No, that was on
cameras
there.
on the building.
No, that was on there when we bought it.
Okay.
But I used to be a registered Maine hunting guide, so it was a legit.
Very good.
Very good, is right. So do we have any, this is a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot, correct? Yeah, we're looking at 77 feet on the shore frontage. Just, do we have any concerns about 20% lot coverage? I don't think so, just by looking at this.
I don't think that's an issue here.
Okay. Because we're not adding anything.
Yeah, not adding any footprint.
So,
Yeah.
any other concerns for the applicant?
Not, the only thing I would bring out is that, as we pitch, the runoff off the roof will run a little faster or whatever. It's a good opportunity to, do stone line drip edge.
How about a condition then?
To do a what?
That's essentially where the runoff comes off the roof down on the ground. What do you have, what is sitting, what is it grass right now, or is it dirt? Where
Right now, it's dirt. It's yucky.
What
Because the
we
people
would-
that live there didn't break it for years.
We would condition that the roof runoff be addressed with DEP best management practices for stormwater runoff, which really, a quick way of saying is you have like a stone line trench.
Oh, on the ground?
Yeah.
Not,
okay.
just along the drip edge.
Okay.
On both sides.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah, to capture the water coming off there so it doesn't run across the surface and into the lake.
Perfect, I can do
Take
that.
soil with it as it hits the ground.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
And this is the type of stuff we'd be doing with any,
No, yeah, no, I got it.
And with your permit will come a handout that shows different options, but it shows generally how those are designed.
Okay,
It's not a big deal.
no, we have them around our house.
there's no earth moving in this project. We have no need for the DEP certified contractor information. Any other questions for the applicant? Any other?
I'm still worried about my screened-in porch. And again, is it okay, I mean, we're talking, is it okay if I have a knee wall? I mean, we don't want walls, but is that still okay for a screened-in?
Yeah,
Okay, because we have dogs, I don't want them like walking right through.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah, no, there's a
So
way
your
for the
screens
screen.
will set on top of like a 3-foot
yeah, Yeah.
knee wall.
yes,
Yeah, don't want a squirrel, a squirrel going by and having your dog go through the screen.
right, okay.
A full wall is a different story.
Yeah, no, I would really like a screened-in porch.
Okay, so you know where we're coming from in this, right?
Absolutely.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
So there's no other proposed activities, so there's no other walkways being proposed, no other
No.
building going on, there's no other anything else. So just so you know, so whatever is approved is what we approve. So we're not approving other stuff,
Right,
it's only what's on the application.
yeah, because the renovations inside the house are,
We don't-
Yeah.
That's different.
no, these are
Just
the
wanted to
big,
be clear that it's only what we can only,
I mean, I can't build a turret next door or anything.
no, I'm coming back. So, I would entertain a motion for this application.
I would make a motion, let me ask you, before I make a motion.
Yeah.
How are we gonna deal with the fee? Are you gonna pay Nick?
I'm gonna
tonight?
pay Nick tonight, so,
As long as, I guess I won't include that as part of the condition.
well, Gary told me to bring money tonight when I came, so I did.
That's fine.
I would make a motion that we approve the application as presented with the condition that stormwater runoff from the roof line be handled according to best management practice, DEP best management practices, which probably means a stone drip line.
And there's a second condition that we were talking about before, right?
Oh, and no higher than 17 feet.
Oh, yes, so thank you.
Yep.
Yes, and that the building be at the end of the construction, the building shall be no higher than 17 feet.
Excellent.
Thank you, Peter.
Yay!
I'll second that.
Yeah, okay. So we have
I'll second all of it.
yeah, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor, it's been seconded with 2 conditions. Do you understand the conditions?
I do.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for us?
No, I'm very happy, actually. Yay!
I hope we're not too scary.
Nope.
Good. All right, all those in favor? Yeah.
But we don't wear cool sweatshirts like that one.
I know. So
Well,
3, 4, none against.
Are we all passed now?
Yep, we're all passed.
Okay, because the reason I'm here today is because Make Cabin Masters is redoing it.
Wonderful.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yay.
So Belgrade's gonna be famous.
Yeah.
Or infamous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
we're already infamous.
So yes, so we did the handing over of the keys a couple weeks ago. I tried to get on your board meeting a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, Make Cabin Masters is redoing our camp.
Just please
So
make sure
that's-
they don't say anything disparaging about us, okay, on live TV.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
No, they're really funny actually. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's.
So that's why I don't have I'm sorry I can't have more specifics, but that's what we asked them to do. So
Yeah, okay.
We live not too far from you, so if you go beyond Spalding Point and go towards Tukey Lumber.
Yep.
Go down Horse Point Road.
Yep.
We're down that way.
well, my family owns the place on the right, the big white gambrel with the red barn. Right on the corner there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's a nice spot.
Yep.
A nice spot.
So I can tell
Let
you,
me tell you that George and I go fishing on there in the spring, so you make sure you adhere to the conditions of the permit.
I'm not all that worried. So just a little kind of fun thing about the Maine Cabin Masters too. Our family has some cabins that we rent down on the lake. And yesterday we had a family, husband and wife come in from Peoria, Illinois. I asked them what brought them here, and they said, well, we watched the show Maine Cabin Masters, and we know they did 2 of them McGraw, so we decided Maine was really pretty, so we had to come. So,
Well, cool.
Cool.
and so I said, well, funny story for you.
Yeah, that's funny.
So,
So you'll be in the footage?
yes.
Wow, so you're,
So,
you're
well,
a movie
So
star.
I think the reason why they picked us, a little funnier story here. It is owned by 3 of us.
By the way, we don't charge for this interview.
It's owned by 3 of us. Pam,
Yeah.
my mom, and my best friend from college, Suzanne. So we call it Camp PMS.
Is that gonna make it on the?
Well, when we were doing all the takes for it, when we were handing over the key, we called it PMS, and then we go, okay, so now we do that. Welcome to the camp on Salmon Lake, and welcome to PMS. So it all depends on what the producers will allow, but yeah.
Awesome.
So
People in town need to know when this is gonna be on
I
the
know. Text me, please.
so
I say we waive the fee, this was worth it.
So I think that we're one of the last ones, they do 4 groups of 4, and we're the last group, so I'm guessing we won't be on TV till like April or May. It's gonna kill me, but we're gonna April or May. But we're doing the reveal, when we get to walk down, go ooh ah, on I think December 18th. So pretty excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. That
Thank
sounds
you.
like fun.
Yeah, it'd be good.
So yeah,
It should be good footage too, because we're getting into fall.
the fall, yeah.
season, and you get to see it.
Though I can't tell you guys because I had to sign waivers
Right.
and I said
Yeah,
that I couldn't do it. But the filming of them coming across the lake was hilarious. It's already been fun. So.
Good.
Awesome. All right.
That's worth clapping for.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you can handle business with me.
Oh, all right. So when do I get the permit? Does it needs to be signed by?
Yeah, Gary.
Okay.
No, you guys will be signing.
Yeah, we sign it, but it goes out. We're gonna sign it right now.
Okay. It was like $48.
46. Both sheets are over there. I guess you all fun.
Does Peter always sign the top?
Oh yeah,
Hey, I see
typically
your
you.
clerk handed, so is he, and that's why.
That's right. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
That does sound like fun. Now, you guys don't go over there and go fishing if you're both not on without gasoline, so you gotta roll ashore.
Yeah.
Wow, they're building. Hey!
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta sign this one too, right?
There are 2 conditions.
We didn't sign the school one, did we?
No, well, they're only Peter signed it.
Yeah, and then the CEO says that.
Is she crooked?
One of them, not as long as the other.
No, I signed that.
Well, how's that look?
At 3 o'clock, that I was too acres into the wood.
You gotta pull out the leg.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Disrupted the whole TV show.
Yeah.
On top of everything else.
2 weeks, just started.
That's better.
Yep.
You will have to talk about when we go up there. Did you go up there?
There more? No.
Slipped on his driveway. Like 7 weeks or something. He tore some tendon in his knee, and he's been home. I guess whatever work he's doing, he's done at home. He's had his knees
They
strapped in one place.
do it well.
Now he's able to hobble around. He won't be. He won't be doing this deer hunting. Maybe from his porch.
Oh, maybe Matt Scott will let him run out of his bathroom window.
John will after he gets there.
So do you need me anymore?
I don't believe so.
Go Al. Thank you guys.
You're
Thank you, Pam.
Thank
See
you.
you around, right?
Yep, see me on TV.
That should have been a good giveaway, the sweatshirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I just thought it was I don't know why, I didn't think it meant they were filming at her place.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
So, hi guys. You wanna go through your application with us? for Beckett
Yes.
House?
Yes, we think it's relatively simple.
We like those.
Yes, but you never know.
We also like it when they're done by an engineer.
Well, thank you. We try not to come naked.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
That created all kind of visions in you. But she's all excited about them fixing that cabin up though. That's good.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool.
Since he's here, we could,
Oh, by the way, this is Mark McCluskey of our office.
Welcome.
hi Mark, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Mark, you look really familiar, but I have no clue why.
Well, I designed this building, or helped design it anyway. I've been out here
Oh,
Well, that's probably,
being constructed.
okay, very good.
You've been working with us for
32 years.
32 years.
Actually, it could have been something else too. Did you work on any drinking water systems?
Many, quite a few, yeah.
Well, I don't
That
know.
might be it, Kyle.
Yeah, he's still working on
I'm a
it.
class 4 operator as well, yeah.
Okay.
great.
He's also a trustee of the Kennebec Water District.
Oh, okay.
He got roped into it.
Yeah, I bet. It's the only way those positions get filled, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, well, no one else would run. It does require to be elected. It was vacant. Yeah.
So, how do we want to do the checklist? Because the application packet has one.
Yeah, I don't have one.
That's why I want to go through your next.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe.
We didn't get it, so.
I don't think he did get it,
Explain
no.
the project to us.
He got the letter.
So, before,
Right. No, we can go there.
hey Nick, do you have a checklist we could use to go through this when it's appropriate to do so?
If you want, you can go ahead and just use that one, and I'll just make that one the original if you like.
There is a checklist in here.
Or do you want something separate, like a?
Well, we can use this, and when we go through it, I can mark on mine on this one.
Yeah, or mark one as master or something.
Right, I have extra copies.
I'll just say master, no, today's date.
This one's not checked.
We have, 10, 4, 18. Al, do you wanna walk us through the application? What
Well,
project?
between Mark and myself, I think we can. In summary, it's just a portable classroom addition to the facility at Beckett Academy off from Route 11. And it's just the other side of the intersection where Route 8 comes in. You'll just beyond that, I don't know, it's maybe,
Quarter mile.
I don't even know it's that far, it's maybe 200 yards, whatever, it's on the left. And this is a site plan. And this is, let me get my, this is the Oakland Road, or Route 8, right here. The Route 11, excuse me. Yeah, 8 comes in down here. And this is the existing facility. This was an old farmhouse, it's dormitory and offices. This is the existing school, and this is the proposed building. This one structure right here. This one structure. All these other structures exist. This one is quite simple. It's just a classroom. There's no running water to it. All the facilities are in other buildings, this building. The other buildings have facilities, but this is just a classroom. This is an existing greenhouse, an existing barn. This is their vocational shop building. And this is a little gymnasium area. And this was added parking about, how long ago was that, Mark?
When they did the coach house, I believe they put that in.
Yeah, the coach house, which is the gymnasium area.
Yeah,
But how long was that? That was in
that was 3512, so 2012.
2012.
Yeah.
And this is
That's about the
it.
same time the gym was built? Seemed like that.
That's what it is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And they have 15 acres of land. It's, the land kind of divides right along here. And I think a portion of this goes toward Great Pond, and a portion goes toward Meslonsky. We've done a phosphorus transport analysis of this added area as well as the whole thing. And we're under the limit that's allowed for the structures that are on the site. That's in the application. We did check with the Maine DEP about a stormwater permit with the Karim Gungar. Have you met Karim?
No, I haven't.
He's really good. He's a PhD and he's from Turkey. He's top notch, and he's looked it over and said it didn't require a review from them. And we got an email on that, and we sent it to Gary.
Yeah.
So he has it, but we didn't bring an extra copy with us.
Right.
Back on your desk.
Right.
Yeah. So, and this, most of this is just the pad itself. It's 35 feet wide by 70 feet long. The building's a little bit smaller that goes on it, but that's a gravel pad. And that's about it.
Al, this is probably not correct, is it? This isn't the regulated shoreland zone.
Well, it is with respect to that pond. It's a 250-foot setback from that pond.
But that's not covered by shoreland zone.
You haven't defined it? Oh.
Yeah, right, it's not
Okay.
covered by our ordinance.
It's not a great pond, you're saying,
No.
right?
No,
It's just a water body.
Yeah, it's kind of a stagnant. It may flow at times of the year, but most of the time it's just a stagnant body. Yeah, so that isn't necessarily, well, it does, it just calls it a setback, so
Yeah.
we're staying 250 feet away. And this other radius here is for the well.
Okay.
See, there'll be no additional students here. It'd be the same number of students, so there's no increased demand on the water system, and there's no water in this building, there's no service.
And likewise for parking then?
The same with parking, right, yeah, everything is essentially the same.
So it sounds like you're adding classroom functionality
Right,
without increasing the number of students or.
right,
Parking.
well, not intentionally, it may go up or go down depending on demand, but
But this is not designed to.
no, it's not being built to handle additional students, no.
So why is it being built then right now?
Did Brad tell you?
I think it's just to have more space for the students that they have now. Maybe the classrooms are a little bit crowded or whatever. You know, they don't have a lot of classroom space as it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or different programs, but I don't know just what they'll be doing in this building, but they felt they needed the extra space.
okay.
And it's a manufactured building as well.
Is the building being brought in? Is that?
It's there.
Yes, it's,
Yeah.
I think it's a portable classroom from is it from the Bean School?
It's from another school.
I mean,
I'm
a
not
school,
sure where.
a school site where they are dismantling them because they don't need them.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it was from the Bean School out in Sydney, but
Interesting.
yeah, putting it to use here.
And so, to construct the pad and so on which or upon which this will rest, the workers will come up this driveway and however it is, get back here and level stuff and
Right.
do what they do.
They'll probably drive it on its wheels, and they may have temporary material that they put in place, gravel, that they then take out, because you gotta have pretty level area to drive on. And they gotta come straight in. The alternative to that is craning it in. And most double wides that are single story go in on wheels, but modulars, almost all modulars go in on cranes. They're craned off a flatbed, they have no wheels. But this one has wheels under it.
Okay. No power lines overhead? Back here?
No,
Okay. Excellent.
did I forget anything, Mark? Oh.
Not much to forget.
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And they were kind of a little guilty of wanting to do it and not realizing that they needed to obtain permits before they did things like this. And that happens everywhere, so we're playing a little bit of catch up all the way around.
Gary's aware of that.
I think they put the gravel pad down when Gary said, well, wait a minute now, you're getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
So they stopped.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
And this is nowhere near as exciting as having the main cabin master.
No offense, but you're right.
How's the project down in the village going?
The DOT project
Yes.
in general? Honestly, I haven't been down there lately. It's been a couple months actually since.
Yeah, too bad Craig isn't here, he lives here, I've been avoiding it.
Yeah, I have too. But I'm curious though to get down there and see how it is going. What was proposed, it's ambitious in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it meets all the needs that have been described.
Yeah. Well, the weather's starting to not cooperate as well.
Yeah. I can say from my personal experience after the trees were removed in preparation for the work, just that alone changed the complexion.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah. Downtown walk and so on. But not that it's bad or good, but it did change.
Mhm.
So.
I was just looking through and I'm thinking, could this possibly fit under the code enforcement officer permit? And it's somewhat ironic that you can expand an existing building by 2,500 square foot and get a permit from the code officer instead of the planning board. But this 796 square foot building needs to come to us because it's new.
I asked the same question to Gary and he
Yeah.
explained that to me.
I had thought of the same thing when I was reviewing this at home and came to the same conclusion.
Because it's new.
Anyway, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's
We're
what-
here and Gary's off hunting, so
Right.
it all works out.
Did Gary get the permit or is he?
No, I think his buddy did.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He said he got it up near Bethel somewhere, which
Oh,
probably
really?
isn't the best place to.
Well, there's some woods up there, but it's not like it is up north.
He said his buddy hunts deer up there all the time, so he's used
Yeah.
familiar with the area, but I'd be in trouble because I wouldn't know where. Bethel's not like you're out really in the boonies, you can go anywhere you want without worrying about who's where.
Yeah, well, you don't have to go too far. You get to Andover is right next door.
Yeah.
Once you hit there, there's a lot of woods.
So, on this copy I just wrote master and then today's date. So if you follow our process and we're on the checklist part,
Page 32.
page 32, and go through it, then I can indicate, complete, non-applicable, or waiver request approved. And then when there's a gap, we could indicate that to you, Al, and
Yep.
so on. So the applicant name, is that Beckett? Applicant name,
Beckett Family of Services?
then the development name, is that just the portable classroom?
I didn't appreciate what a large employer that facility is.
Yeah,
Makes it one of the bigger ones in Belgrade.
52 people.
It's impressive.
I don't really know how many students they have right offhand, do you?
I think it's one-on-one pretty much
Oh,
with
is
the
it?
counselors and students, yeah.
And gentlemen, do you know if a fee has been paid?
Yes, came with the application forms.
Okay, thank you. So that was that fee paid 50, so that was the building and the rent?
It was $100 was the fee.
Yeah.
Got a copy of it here if you want, let's see it.
I'm good.
Okay.
This says notice provided by CEO to landowners within 500 feet. We're not there yet, right? We're just doing
Yeah, we
completeness.
need to do the completeness.
Okay, so let's go through this, and then if there are questions, gentlemen, you can help fill in the gaps, okay? So the application form, which is the first 31 pages, right, 28 pages, whatever. Although I haven't gone through every aspect of it, by going through it, it looks like there's been a pretty thorough examination of each question.
Many of them fall under the not applicable.
Right. So I would say, unless someone else disagrees, that we would say that it is complete in terms of an application form.
Yes.
The applicant's agent authorization letter, do we have that?
Where's that, Al? I struggled to find it.
Page 4.
Page
Very
4?
front.
Okay, thank you.
Page 4?
Yeah, I think. Top of page 4 and then 5.
Got it.
Oh, we're not talking about authorization?
Authorization.
Oh,
That would be page I,
Aye.
right in the very beginning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Copy of deed, option, sales agreement, lease, or other documentation of title right or interest.
Yep, we have that.
Written waiver request, are there any?
No waivers.
So in this case, since there are none, I would say not applicable, unless the board disagrees. Copy of tax map of property,
Yep, got that.
copy of Kennebec soil county map.
Got that.
Copy of USGS topo map,
Yep,
copy of Belgrade shoreline zoning map,
yep,
copy of flood insurance map,
yep,
copy of national wetlands inventory map,
yes.
copy of Maine geological survey significant sand and aquifer, gravel aquifer,
Not there.
copy of Maine drinking water program map of public drinking water supply showing property location. Is that not applicable?
No.
Copy of MDOT highway entrance or access permit,
That's not applicable either.
because they're not proposing any change in numbers
Right.
at this time. Copy of MDOT traffic movement permit and traffic movement study. Not
Yeah, not
applicable. Copies of other required state or local permits.
I know there's a section in here on that.
I called the state fire marshal's office, and because they're licensed by the Department of Education, even though the building's manufactured house, only 1,458 square feet, they will have to have a Maine State Fire Marshal construction
They will.
Yes.
And most of that's because of the review of handicap accessibility.
Okay, and is that in here or have not?
They have not applied for it yet.
Okay, so we'll leave that blank for now.
I will start that. And then do we have a 24 by 36 inch site development plan?
Mm-hmm. I think it has everything that we would want.
Yeah. Then turning the page to 34, it says detailed to scale drawing showing location of and construction specifications of drainage features, road, sidewalks, access points, etc.
Yes.
Documentation meets applicable state, federal air quality regulatory requirements. I would say not applicable in this case,
Yeah.
unless there's some activity that's
Yeah, no, that's not applicable.
soil. Do we have a soil erosion control plan? Article 6, Section 3.
I think there is.
What page?
It's
It's
in amongst
the
the,
second folder.
it's in Exhibit K, the site plan, I believe it.
Yeah.
Exhibit K.
Oh, I'm sorry, well, it's, yeah, and M, Exhibit M. Soil erosion control plan.
So Exhibit K and M. Is there an NDEP certified contractor name and number?
Yes,
David,
in the application.
It's in the application. What page?
it's David Hall Construction.
Oh, page 9. Perfect. Location of site structure listed on National Register of Historic Places.
No.
Not applicable. Location of Maine Historic Preservation Commission archaeological sites. Is that not applicable?
None in the area.
There's a response from them.
Perfect. Information needed to meet air quality standard. Article 6, Section 1.
Not applicable.
Information needed to meet access to public street standards. Article 6, Section 2.
It's also not applicable.
Protection measures for historic and archaeological resources. And then
Same.
estimated quantities of flammable, combustible, and hazardous substances to be stored, handled, or generated, including waste oil and antifreeze. Is any of that?
Assume that's not applicable. right?
It isn't.
Yeah, that's,
Evidence meets MDEP siting regulations for oil storage and hazardous substance facilities.
not applicable.
Copy of application provided to fire chief by planning board or CEO.
We have that.
We actually submitted information to the,
We submitted, Gary.
we did, he, not the chief, but I think one of the lieutenant tenants responded, but had no comment.
Okay, perfect. So no concerns apparently.
No.
Good. Other information needed to meet material storage standards, including bulk storage, etc. NA. Visual impact assessment, is there one needed? Plan based on IF&W critical areas program recommendations to mitigate impact on natural areas and wildlife habitat, including deer wintering areas.
That's NA.
I have a response from them, letters in the
Yeah.
application. Yep.
Other information needed to meet Natural Resource Protection Act, standards, sorry. Was there any other information that we received? Or-
Well, other than the information from Karem that the stormwater application under DEP's regulations wasn't required.
Okay. So for this one, for the natural resource protection standard, are we saying
Yeah.
NA?
Yeah, that would be in it.
Her response says that they have no concerns. Yep.
Okay. Is board requiring post-development noise monitoring and reporting plan
It's not
information needed to meet noise standard? Do we have anything?
not out.
Exterior lighting and plan and specifications for lighting fixtures, are there any?
I don't know if there's some in the application.
There's a couple motion sensing lights at both entrances on the building, and I've got some cut sheets on those in the application.
And those are the only additional lights that would be added, so.
Yep.
So I would say complete then.
Yep.
Is board requiring post-development light monitoring and reporting plan?
Not applicable, okay? Such modest lighting.
Information to meet parking standard. There's no change in parking, correct?
No change.
And no increase in the need.
Okay. Written statement from fire chief on capacity of fire department to provide adequate protection.
We have that.
Written statement from sheriff's department approving any proposed security measures. Are there any security measures?
Lieutenant Reed, he responded, it's in there saying that they provide the coverage. Kennebec County Sheriff.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Other information to meet public safety and emergency services standards. I don't know if there is any.
There are none. So, okay.
Information to meet screening of structures, parking lots, and other non-residential uses standards.
That's complete, it's on the site plan.
A two-scale profile, face-on, view of proposed signs. Are there any proposed signs?
No proposed signs.
Other information to meet sign standard.
It's
I would
an
say NA. Stormwater management plan,
It's complete.
complete, information back from DEP on that, sound like?
Correct.
Yeah, so the other information would be complete too.
Subsurface waste, site evaluation, that's HE 200, that's NA.
And
Same for waste standard. Is that right, NA for that one? Is there no additional waste there being? Other information to meet waste standards, Article 6, Section 14.
It would be NA.
Groundwater quality and quantity impact assessment.
That would be NA.
Copy of deed restrictions related to drinking water and groundwater protection.
NA.
Copy of Maine drinking water program, public water supply.
That's NA.
Copy of the MD.
They are regulated by the.
Yeah, they are,
program,
but it's not really applicable. to-
Not for this one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this doesn't,
I mean, if you were adding dormitory space or,
yeah, or even extending service into that building,
right, yeah.
but no, we're not even doing that.
Okay. Copy of MDEP, stormwater management permit.
It's not NA.
Phosphorus export control method.
We have
It's
that.
there.
We have that?
Yep.
Other information to meet water quality standard. Do we have what we need?
I don't think we need anything else. So, NA, I guess.
Okay. Supplemental site plan requirements for mineral, okay, we have a bunch of mineral mining things.
NA,
NA for,
all those.
Do you have any mining activity here in town?
Just gravel.
Oh, yeah.
gravel mining.
Oh, yeah,
We got plenty of that.
Yeah.
For a while longer anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that whole page is NA.
we're not doing any wind farms either, Tom.
No, right, we don't have any of those.
No telecommunications.
We can see some, but we don't have any.
Right. What are the ones you can see? Are the ones in Freedom?
So I live on the West Road, as you know.
Yeah.
At the top of the hill, you look off to the west, I don't know if it's like Canton, or there's like 3 sets that you can see if the light is
Oh.
reflecting off of the blades.
Oh, I see. There is some in
You
Carthage.
really, maybe it's Carthage.
Yeah,
actually.
Carthage.
Yeah.
I bet you it's Carthage, right? 'Cause
Wow.
it's north of Jay, because you sometimes can still see the plume
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
mill.
Yeah, and those are quite high. And you come on the ridge over on this side, and in certain places, when on the right kind of sunny days, you can see them over in Freedom. There's
Oh,
only
really?
3 of them over there.
Yeah, I've seen those too, and I didn't know what town it was, but it's Freedom.
It's Freedom.
I've never seen
The
that.
3 of them, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them up close, but I've never.
Yeah, you almost have to slow right down and look carefully, know right way to look.
Yeah,
I wanna say from Dan Tremblay's house on some days, you can see.
oh, from over there, that makes sense, actually. Yeah, that view is right towards those hills.
Now I'm on page 37, hiring of engineer by town at applicant's expense.
All 3 of those are not applicable,
Okay,
all
done.
apply to wind energy.
Okay. Today's date 10/4. 10/4. All right, so we've gone through that part. This way we would see. Do we have anything start? We have one thing to do.
It was the State Fire Marshal's Office permit.
Yeah.
If it's needed, get it done.
Those take a while to get, do they?
Not
Sometimes.
really. No,
No,
we
not
go
those.
right down, we request a site or a plan review with one of the reviewers down there, and I can usually get right in fairly quick.
Okay, I just wondered, because I know with like bulk plants and things like that, it takes them a while.
There used to be a few of them that lived up our way, and we'd say, well, gee, when you're coming right home, leave an hour, a couple hours early. And they'll leave early and come to the office and
Yeah.
review it right in the office, and it
Whatever works.
goes quickly, yeah. Anything to get out of the office and the phone.
Yeah.
But doesn't Rich McCarthy live in Belgrade here?
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. So, going forward, right, if we deem this complete or not, we then go through the findings of fact. But to do that, we do that in a place where we would notify people, abutters and so on. So logistically, we want to make sure you are aware that that would be the next step. And it also means it would not be done tonight, right? Because we have to notify abutters, that takes time, et cetera. So how does the board wish to proceed at this point? I mean, we've noted that there's one state fire marshal's permit is something that they can have, but everything else is looking good.
Yeah, I only have one question, substantive question.
Sure.
In terms of the standards and stuff, and that has to do with the stormwater management plan. And, you know, I understand that this doesn't trigger any of the DEP's requirements, but our standard, I summarize, over-summarize probably, is that all stormwater has to be on the site of retained on the site of generation. And maybe I missed it on the site drawing or any of the details, but I didn't know if there was more to that. Like, I mean, for a building like this, it probably is something low-tech, like what we were discussing with the camp.
Drip edge.
Yeah, drip edge.
Yes, infiltration units, yes.
I didn't see anything like that in the
No,
application.
and that's something that could be added.
Yep.
And it's a good practice to get into.
So maybe if we could get something to that effect for the next meeting.
I think some of the larger buildings, we put in the filtration swales for the gym and then also for the boat.
Would
building.
the stormwater from this be captured by those?
No, it's
It's on the other
most of
side.
that's
Other
going
side,
the other way,
okay.
yeah. But the drip, I like the drip edge.
Yeah, no, it's nice low tech.
Yeah.
Well,
No
yeah,
maintenance.
and it really gets that first flush, catches it.
Right? Right, it's good.
I mean, you probably know better than we do that more highly engineered systems a lot of times aren't maintained.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So, you know,
simple as
they
actually.
look good when they're built, but
Right.
So,
that's the only thing I have.
all right, thanks, great question.
So when will your next meeting be?
18. Yep.
18?
Yep.
Okay, so by then we should have the notification of the abutting landowners is by the CEO?
Yes.
Okay.
When's Gary coming back, or do you do that, Nick?
What's that?
The notice of the,
Yeah, I'll be sending those out next week.
okay, that's right.
Okay, so it'd be,
The town handles that.
okay, so it would be prudent to come back on the 18th?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what the relationship is between, you know, neighbors in the area and Beckett Academy, but, as you saw today, that the other one was the public meeting for that one, and we had a crowd. I think we've only had one where people have shown up.
Yeah.
Where is that? We had two. Ben's Auto, we had.
Ben's, we had one, and,
Oh, the marine, not the marina, but the boat shop,
that was.
just down the street.
Yeah.
From Beckett.
Well, I think there was a few people that came on the ball field too for Moden. Just had
True.
questions.
Yeah, because you were here that night, right?
I forgot about that.
That is impressive little field.
Yeah, I drove by, that's a
Nice.
nice little field.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't drive in to take a look, but from the road it looked nice.
Nice job. So the 18th will be, we'll have you on the agenda, right, Nick? And notification will have gone out to abutters well in advance, so that should anybody care to come and participate in the process, they can do so.
We'll make an attempt to get the fire marshal's permit before that meeting as well.
That would be best. I was gonna say, that's important, but, you know, this is a standard, you know, portable classroom. They prove these things all the time. It came from a facility where they had approved it. If worse came to worse, it's something that could be handled through a condition.
I would also feel that way.
I think they are doing some modifications to the inside of the structure, so, yeah.
Okay.
But usually they
Just
hand,
need to make sure there's proper egress for the students and fire alarm system, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
right. Yeah, I mean, at this point, a lot of that's pretty standardized with those kind of structures.
Yep.
That's my understanding of it.
Yep.
I only raise it because my experience with the state fire marshal's office is they've had staffing level problems historically on and off. Sometimes they, you know, because of that, they're not able to be as responsive, I think, as they would like.
That's why I call and get a review, because I'll go to their office and they'll have a stack of plans.
Yeah,
Make
right.
a review, you know, but I get right in.
well, if you're right there, it's
Yeah.
hard for them to shoo you away. So we will graduate.
Right, we'll commence, right?
We're gonna graduate from being new business to being old business.
Yeah, no, you'll be old
You'll be
business.
right on top.
Yeah.
Versus giving us the business. That's the last step.
Yeah.
Do we need to address the drip edge or anything?
We should.
or-
Yes, and
Yeah.
Just show it on the
for the next
plan,
meeting,
or in the
however you wanna
application?
do it, if you wanna add a detail or,
And,
I didn't know if it was gonna be a condition of approval.
well, if it's on the plan, they don't.
yeah, we won't need to. It's
Right.
always best to have it on the plan.
Okay.
It's our first preference, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, that would be our first
Yeah,
preference.
and they do have specific methods of constructing the drip edge facilities to get credit for them, at least under the DEP procedure.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah, Karem educated me on that.
and we reference those best management practices, so that would be what's expected.
Yep.
And you heard us go through this process before when we do the findings of facts. It's pretty exciting stuff, so. So we'll see you on the 18th, right, gentlemen?
Yes, we'll be back.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Nicely prepared
Yeah.
application.
Thank you.
You still living down on the lake, Al?
Pardon?
You still living on the lake down?
Oh, no, well, we didn't have a chance to even spend a night there.
Oh, It's too bad.
Well, that storm that came through last fall,
Last October?
took 2 poles, snapped them right off on our road. And they came, maybe a week and a half later, replaced the poles, hooked up the power, but did not hook up the phone for our phone system, because it all goes underground. They left it coiled up on the stub pole that was broken off. And here we are thinking that the house we have the alarm system, security, and everything is, we're not worried about it. Well, about February, we get a call from the neighbor. They could hear the alarm going off inside. So we came out to look at it, and the boiler had lost a circuit in one of the control boards and quit sometime in February. Yeah. And it froze over the garage area and just destroyed everything. From
That's
the
too bad.
floor down. And it took them till August to finish the work. It was $100,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, there was hardwood floors. Every inch of sheetrock was in the garage area, in the hallway, bathroom. Everything had to come out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear
You have
that.
homeowners, I hope?
Oh, we did, and they paid for just about everything. We did some upgrades while they were doing the work, but, and here it is fall again.
Yeah. Let's hope for better October weather.
Well, yeah, we probably come out for a weekend or something, but, it was frustrating. And the boat, that we keep a boat inside, we haven't had it out much in the last few years. And the boat had 100 gallons of water. They unscrewed the drain plug and they said, oh, with a 5-gallon bucket, oh, we'll just drain it out. And they kept going, 20 bucket loads.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, but it's all been restored, and they did a really good job. You'd hardly know that happened. But it was discouraging.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and everything's working now. Well, we've owned it since '91, and we never thought the need to shut off the water pump. Well, we do now.
Yeah.
Again, if the pump had been off, the damage would have been minor.
Right.
Very minor, a couple of stains on the floor, whatever, but it was dripping from everything.
Wow.
Oh. Well, anyway,
All right, well,
that's my sad story.
Thank you, guys.
see you
Appreciate
in see you in a couple of
it.
days.
See ya.
We'll see you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
So Nick, I'm not gonna walk with this. I'd like to make sure to leave that with you, but maybe we could go through the minutes next. Thank you. Thanks for all that. Just is there a way to say that I was
We won't be here until 10. Yeah.
So looking good.
Yeah, it's looking good. I think so.
No, I looked at the minutes.
So, do each of you have the minutes from the 2nd and the
I do.
16th? So, want to go for the minutes, go review the minutes of the 2nd first?
Sure.
all set on the second? Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to mention, Nick, thank you so much for your work on these minutes. I know it's not an easy task. My observation is that we've come a long way, and so thank you very much for your work on those things. So, having said that, what edits do we have here? Like the first one, if you don't mind if I so, it's about meaning. First paragraph, at the end of the first line, it says, they were also asking for an 8-foot porch, but it was not reflective on the site drawing. I'm thinking, when I read that we should change it to reflected on it. Only because reflective might mean that just like, you know, high visibility.
I agree.
Yeah, a different meaning. And there's another word somewhere. Oh, it's on the other one, that's why.
Questions?
Where are you, Rich?
Oh, I was just, the second one, there's an S under, I had only one question, but it says questions on the first line.
Oh,
No
right.
big deal.
Yeah.
And then the second one, James said that he was going to use, get rid of the D.
Yeah.
The next sentence, wasn't really sure if the board told us, is that basically saying the board told also that there will be a packet handed with the permit? I wonder if is it really the board also stated or something?
I think probably, and I'm thinking the packet that we're talking about there, is that not the,
Stormwater.
right?
Okay. How about if we say the board also, or the board stated that there will be a stormwater information or something packet, whatever.
Yeah.
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 Works.
Okay,
Good.
I think that was all I had. Oh, other than at the beginning, I think really the board was called to order, and I note that this minutes, is that the ones that we reviewed that day? Did we review them?
Yes, I gotta put something
Okay.
there saying either approved or not approved.
And
What it doesn't say is who was present at
Present.
the meeting.
right.
And I have no idea, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I think I was there.
Okay, I can figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah. So please, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, attendees.
And Nick, you captured what Rich was saying about we don't, something about the outcome of the minute reviews.
Right, yes.
Yeah, okay. The only other things I could add to this would be, even though we didn't have any old business, there probably should be something, well, we did have old business. The old business should be moved up ahead of the new business. Cut and paste. Under one, Douglas and Jean Legg, purpose, year-round home versus year.
Oh, right.
And then on the last item, Ben Morrison application, I think we need a line that reflects the fact that Mr. Morrison provided the information we had asked for at the prior meeting, which is, so maybe the first sentence after purpose would be, Mr. Morrison provided the additional information previously requested by the board. Get that in
After
here.
purpose, you said?
Yeah.
What's it say?
Mr. Morrison provided the additional information previously requested by the board. And then the last paragraph, I think needs, that first sentence needs a little tweaking. First off, I would go with after findings, I would add of fact, findings of fact. And then, actually, it's in the second sentence. Rather than as edited, I would say as amended. That's all I have.
Good, thank you. Would you like to vote on these individually, or?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 2nd as amended.
Second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? 3, 4, none against. All right, let's go over the meeting minutes from August 16. All set? Anything?
I had the same 2 comments as the other one. Meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. and the attendees aren't listed.
Yeah.
In the Doug Legg thing, in the first sentence, I would add the phrase, what is it? The planning board reviewed the changes that they asked for. I would add in right there at the previous meeting. And then on the third line down, DEP stormwater best management practices rather than business practices. And one very tiny issue, Rogers, on the number 2, the next to the last line, or it's the last sentence, Rogers seconded a small s instead of big S.
George, anything?
In the second item regarding the warrant article, might be good to add proposed before shoreline zoning. Then the next line, draft should be singular, not plural. And at the end of that, just so that people are clear what we're talking about, of a warrant article should probably be added. So it would read, board went over the draft that George Seal put together of a warrant article.
That's good for you.
And then a question, possibly for addition. I'm just wondering if, before we get to the, like Roger made a motion, that part of the paragraph, Rich had summarized why Sewell Company was unable to do the mapping, basically that they required more money. Whether anything like that should be added in case somebody reads this and wondering what's going on.
Yeah, we should have that in there, I think. And we didn't get an answer about that, did we?
We got an answer that they needed more money because, well, put it this way, for them to do more work, they need more money.
Right.
My thinking is, and that's what we need to bring up on an agenda sometime, is to bring in a map and a contract, if you will. It's not really a contract, but an agreement with them. And it called for things that they would do for us, and they haven't done it. What they said, they'd provide 2 maps and all that. And I think we need to look at the letter and the contract and what they did for us. And whether it's Denny getting back to them or whatever, we put it this way, I don't think, we got nothing useful out of that.
Yeah.
And yet they're saying they need more money to do more, and I think it's because they were.
Actually, we got less than something useful. We got a shitty map.
Yeah, the map we had before was better than what their draft help was. So anyway, I think we need to, maybe if we don't have a big agenda next meeting, we can bring that map in the letter. And you know, the agreement wasn't anything that we had anything to do with, really. Denny did it with them.
Right.
But we didn't get, like I said, what we got out of them was worse than what we had to begin with.
I agree. It seemed like Denny ran some stuff by me on when he was doing that with Sewell. And when I read it, I was under the impression that Sewell was going to be able to provide us with some first of all, migrate everything into an updatable format, an updated format, up-to-date format that would then allow us to have easy edits to be made. And and I thought, wow, this is great. I mean, it's about time to have things that are in an up-to-date format that we can make these requests, but I'm not feeling that we can get it now based on the information or the response that came from Sewell.
We certainly don't seem like we're gonna get it without giving them another $3,000.
Well, that was the other part of that discussion early on, that the money we had in our budget, even though we hadn't requested anything specific for this purpose, would be adequate based on what information Denny had provided us.
Right. So we need to,
Or maybe what, Sewell Company had provided him, I'm not sure.
at next meeting, I'd like to have a copy of the contract, available for us to review, copy of the map, and if possible, to have Denny here to go over this with us, because the feeling we have right now is that the company that we contracted with is not living up to their end of the bargain.
And it's important to get this behind us, because if we need to get any money for next year,
Right,
we need to be able to include that in the budget that
Right.
goes to the budget committee in December.
right. So this is very timely. Right, and please let Danny know that this is something that is a bit of a curveball to us. My understanding of the agreement that went to Sewell was that we would be able to have things done, but this seems like it's not doing that. And I'm not blaming anybody, but it just seems like things are not in line.
So I don't know if you guys
Remark.
agree. I was gonna suggest adding a line, and I'll just read it first. I'll take this down and see if you agree with it, Rich, in particular. Rich summarized his communications with Sewell Company, indicating they require additional funding to complete the mapping.
That is what Rich said, so
Yeah.
that would be a good statement to put in there.
Kind of
Yeah,
not too much pointing the finger, so.
right. Thank you.
It's kind of weird, we had the map, our official map on Denny's in the thing, and the draft map that they had sent us, half the districts are transposed. Yeah, I got resource protection where limited residential wasn't, urban residential where resource, and it's something like that.
We're worse off than where we started from.
If they had the districts right, it probably would be a better map.
Right.
But, we can't put that on the wall.
So with that comment to be added, I agree, it should be in there. Are we ready to vote on these minutes? Or ready to,
Make a motion? I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as amended.
And I'll second it.
any more discussion? All those in favor? 3, 4, none against.
Surprise, surprise.
I know, thank goodness.
Yeah, right, thank goodness.
Here's your paper.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna spend it wisely.
Puts it on your nose.
That's right.
Nick, any updates from your end?
Not that I'm aware of.
No? Feeling all right?
Yeah. Definitely.
Good, glad to know it. Any updates from anybody else? Okay, none from me either.
So, actually, I do have one that maybe, if this will only take a minute, you know, people want to get going. When I was in the town office, signing up for the household hazardous waste thing, Denny wanted to talk to me, and what he wanted to talk to me about was, he just wanted to give me an update on the interactions with Steve Foster and Robin Day regarding the gravel pit on the Depot Road, and their middle of the entire buffer strip.
Right, the select board did.
Yeah, and they're continuing discussions. I guess they really resent the fact that, you know, they thought they did everything right by going to the select board. You know, that, I mean, they did, but, you know, so I think they're a little upset, which I can kind of understand if, although Steve was the chairman of the planning board, I think he would have known better. But anyway, and so apparently he and Gary are continuing to pursue that. Just, I guess what his message really was that it wasn't his highest priority at the moment, just because the damage is all done and there's nothing to be, you know, to be prevented. It's more of a matter of remediation. Okay. But anyway, apparently, you know, it's still under discussion.
Let me say remediation, tell them like planning a 25-foot buffer.
Well, that was my recommendation, given, you know, if you will, the mitigating circumstances. You know, the damage is done. You know, you can't put the sand and gravel back, but you can, you know, make it look not quite as ugly as sin.
Right.
And by, you know, replanting the buffers that were taken down illegally. Because the approval we gave included keeping those buffers, because that's what the ordinance requires.
Right.
It wasn't to them, but it was to Mr. Hammond. Yeah. But that you know, that responsibility transferred to them when they purchased it. So anyway, just since, you know, apparently Denny's got all kinds of complaints about it.
I'm sure.
I mean, you know, with all, you can imagine with all the parents driving by there on their way to school and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so the saga continues. Hopefully they'll come to some resolution.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and remediate. It would be appropriate. It seems to me it would be appropriate and fair. So, okay. Anything else? Let's call it a wrap. 9:03.
9:02. Hey, that's a short one.
Yeah. Doing all right.
Didn't put any more tire on that road today, did they?
I don't know yet.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah.
I doubt if they did, because I didn't see any of those little red, whatever they stick on the road.
Right. It's like
Almost like a loose broom thing.
Oh, I know what you mean.